Hello everyone and welcome back to my cottage garden in the month of July, and today we're going to be looking at some perennial plants that I think every single garden should have. So these are some absolute staples that I think every garden could highly benefit from. Now of course I'm being a little bit hyperbolic because some of these might not suit your garden style or your particular garden conditions, but I wanted to pick some plants that I think work in almost every garden and can tolerate a wide variety of different conditions. They're all incredibly hardy in most places as well, aside from of course places with very extreme heat or very extreme cold. So these are some of my absolute favorite essential perennial plants that if I were creating my garden now, I would absolutely have them. I would absolutely build my garden based off of these 10. So these are my favorites. If you're new here, definitely do consider subscribing, as we'd love to have you on the channel. And let's jump straight into this. Now the first one that I'm going to start off with is Rudbeckia, also known as the Black Eye Susan. And yeah, I mean, look at these beautiful yellow plants. Yellow flowers, I should say, actually. But yes, I know some people don't like yellow, but I think the color of these is so stunning. They're basically perennial sunflowers. I mean, that's exactly what they look like, but they're not annual, so you don't have to worry about them not coming back. You've just got something beautiful that will last and continuously look fantastic. They're so vigorous. Pollinators absolutely love them. I can't imagine my garden without them, and especially paired with some of these beautiful purples as well. Oh my goodness, I love Rudbeckia. I mean, these are only just starting to flower now. As you can see, the flowers aren't very big yet. It'll be a lot more vigorous and bushy than this as time goes on. So yeah, Rudbeckia for me is one of those plants that you just gotta have in some way or another. I think they're so fantastic, and I'm really excited for them to come through fully because, you know, I've got the big yellow Achillea, which I'm gonna actually talk about later, spoilers, but Rudbeckia is just really special to me. In fact, this plant is one of the first ones I got for this garden, actually. So yeah, it kind of means a lot to me. Not to be too sappy or sentimental, but it's a very special one. Next, we have Verbena bonariensis. Now, this is an essential if you're looking for a tall plant in the garden. So not only is Verbena bonariensis absolutely loved by pollinators, but it's great for height and it's a fantastic self-seeder. Some people might argue that it's actually too good of a self-seeder, and you know, it can end up everywhere in your garden even if you don't want it to. So that might be a bit of a drawback. But aside from that, I mean, Verbena bonariensis is so versatile. Even though technically it's very low on the hardiness scale, it seems to come back every single year without fail. So Verbena for me has become one of those absolute essentials that I can't imagine my garden without. Without Verbena, I just think there's an element that is missing, and I think a lot of people will probably feel that same way. So that's why I absolutely had to share this one here, because it really is just one of those plants that it's burst onto the scene, I feel like, in the last 10 years and just become an absolute superstar. That's not to say it wasn't around before then. Of course it was. It's been around for ages. But in terms of gardens here in the UK and many perennial gardens around the world, I feel like Verbena is just getting its dues now, and people are really seeing how much they love it. So I'll be interested in seeing how much it ends up self-seeding around. But the good thing is the little seedlings don't seem to survive very well if we have very cold winters like here in the UK. So that's why it's not technically invasive. I know some people are a bit worried about that sort of thing, and hey, if you've got the guidance in your area that it is invasive, then by all means don't plant it. But to be honest with you, the little self-seeded seedlings that it puts out aren't the toughest thing in the world. So yeah, I really love Verbena. I mean, I think it's such a wonderful plant, and it looks great paired in, sort of mixed in with things like here I've got it mixed in with the Nautia, and yeah, I just think that combination of everything mixed in here just looks absolutely stunning. You know, it's almost like sort of whimsical, very magical sort of vibes. So I really like that a lot. Okay, another plant that I think every garden should absolutely have is Nepeta. Now, Nepeta, the catmint, this particular variety is Walker's Low, and we also have Six Hills Giant, is so good. I mean, I just can't get over how great it is. First of all, it's absolutely fantastic ground cover. It has a nice little scent as well. Now, of course, it is catmint, so it technically will attract cats. So that might be something to be a bit careful of if you do have a cat problem. But if the plants are big enough and established, like mine is here, cats really shouldn't be able to do too much damage to it, thankfully. So yeah, there's definitely, you know, something to be cautious of, but you can definitely work around it. I just absolutely love Nepeta. I think it is my favorite perennial in the entire garden. It's such a joy. I mean, you know, it's so loved by pollinators as well. For me, out of all the plants in my garden, this has been the bee's favorite. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to zoom around because I think this one here looks a bit nicer. As you can see, this one's a bit prettier. So, yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Nepeta. It is definitely one of my favorites. I have it littered throughout the garden, let's say, and definitely one I would recommend to everyone. Next, we have echinaceas. Echinaceas, what a beautiful, beautiful plant they are. I mean, oh, just look at them. The beautiful cone head-like flowers, the different sort of colors you can get. The most reliable of all, in my opinion, is Echinacea purpurea and also Echinacea magnus, and then also Echinacea white swan. Those are the ones that tend to be the hardiest and tend to come back the most vigorously. There are lots of other varieties. I've seen ones like green twister and such, and they're really nice. But I will say a lot of the Echinaceas, I don't know if this is the right word, but they almost appear to be a bit gimmicky, you know, where they're trying to put crazy colors on them, but then it means the plant isn't that tough. So I'd rather go for the trusted, tough varieties like White Swan and also Purpurea, Magnus and such, and get, you know, something that's really vigorous. So I absolutely love Echinacea. Another one that I would absolutely add, that's number 4 on the list. For number 5, we have Echinops. Again, just beloved by pollinators so much. It's got these beautiful blue flowers. And let's be honest, how many perennials out there are blue? Not nearly enough, in my opinion. The combinations here, like you can see, the purples with the blues, beautiful. Also, the blues and the yellows in the background there. Yeah, I love Echinops so much. It's really just a funny looking plant, isn't it? Like, if you thought of a plant on an alien planet, this is the sort of thing you would probably come up with. And that's what I love about it. It's not just your generic flower or anything like that. It's something truly, truly special. And that's something that I love so, so much about the beautiful Echinops. So definitely one that I think every garden should have. Next, I'm going to go for hardy salvias, so the Salvia nemorosa types specifically. This is number 6 on the list. This one is Salvia caridona, which has these beautiful purple upright flowers. We also have the white Salvia schneehugel. I wish I could show these to you guys, but I recently did a bit of a deadhead on them, so they're looking a bit rubbish at the moment. We're still currently waiting for more flowers to start to come through. I even completely cut back the schneehugel, the white one down here, as a kind of like test to see how well it will end up coming back. Usually they're pretty tough and they come back really nicely. So yeah, I really, really love salvias. Pollinators absolutely love them as well. And there's so many different types that you can get under the Nemorosa family. We have as well, I think one called Maynard. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. We also have Pink Beauty and Sensation Pink. There's also Bumble Sky. There's so many great salvias out there. We'd also have the types like Hot Lips and such, which are really great, but they're very different compared to these particular salvias. That's why I'm not really including them in this. But yeah, another one that I think is absolutely essential. For number 7, we're going to go for hardy geraniums, a massive family of plants. Again, I don't have any to show you for this video because I've just cut them all back in late June so that they'll come back for second flowering. But again, it's just another one that I think is absolutely stunning. You know, every garden should definitely have a hardy geranium somewhere. They tolerate most conditions as well, so they're not fussy plants whatsoever, which is really, really nice. And I just think they're so wonderful. I really, really do. I absolutely love hardy geraniums. There's so many different varieties as well. Sorry, I moved the camera away from it there, but you're not really seeing too much, to be fair. But we've got lots of different varieties that I absolutely love. We've got ones like, we've got Roseanne, we've got Dreamland, we've got Anne Thompson, we've got Walgrave Pink. There's so many. I mean, an unbelievable list, an unbelievable amount of colors. Hardy geraniums are definitely one to have. They'll tolerate part shade, they'll tolerate full sun. Some of the geranium phaeum variants even tolerate shade and flower really well. So your selection is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, you can easily cut them back to get a second flowering and they'll come back better than ever. For number 7, I think we're on number 7. I suppose if I go over, it doesn't matter. That's just more plants for you folks to enjoy. Is a grass. I had to include a grass, and we're going to pick the Calamagrostis family of plants, of grasses, I should say. Now, these ones in particular are called Carl Forester. If you've watched my videos, you know I absolutely love them. They do tolerate a wide variety of conditions, although they generally prefer full sun and drier soils. So if you've got poor soil and it's fairly dry, these things will do absolutely fantastic. But I've had them in slightly wet conditions and they've still come back and done fine as well. So it's not an absolute, you know, it has to be this way. You can definitely try a few different things with them. Calamagrostis, there's a bunch of different grasses under that family. There's also one called Overdam, and there's some shorter ones as well. I've got one called Eldorado. So there's so many of them. So if you're looking for a grass that is really versatile, incredibly pretty, especially as the year goes on, and even provides you with winter interest, then definitely try this. Okay, I think we're on number 9 now at this point. We have the Achillea. Now this particular one is called Achillea Cloth of Gold, but just because this one is tall and massive, don't be mistaken, there are so many Achilleas out there. There's lots of really short ones that are almost like ground cover, some that kind of go up to your knees height, and then others like Cloth of Gold that go all the way up to over 6 foot. So again, Achillea is one of those such versatile plant families that you can really, you know, enjoy in your garden. It does prefer drier soils and full sun ideally, but again, it's a really tough one. So I think it will try and handle a few different things, which is really, really nice. So I'm a huge, huge fan of Achilleas. Also, again, like with all the plants on this list, it's beloved by pollinators. So if you're looking for something that will really attract those pollinators in and give them a nice treat, especially butterflies, which can land on the very tall and flat flower heads, then you don't need to look much further than Achillea. I also really like Achillea terracotta. That's a nice orange one that's really pretty. There's one called Moonshine. There is Parker's variety. There are some that are pink, and there are some that are yellow. There's even one called Summer Wine, which is red. So you get such a huge amount of these, and I think they're all absolutely stunning. Now for number 10, I'm very conflicted about what I want to put, but I'm just going to put my personal favorite perennial next to Nepeta, I suppose, because I think it goes great in every garden, and that's Agastache. Now, this one is Agastache Blue Fortune. There's also another one called Agastache Blackadder, and yeah, I love it so much. I mean, it's so beloved by pollinators. It's one of their absolute favorites. It just looks so interesting with its little sort of pokers, I'm going to call them, coming up. It flowers for such a long time as well, and it even holds up interest over winter with these really cool sort of pokey heads. It grows quickly. It tolerates a variety of different soils. It likes full sun. Yeah, I love Agastache so much. It's just one of those plants that no matter what garden I had, I would have to have it. I couldn't not have it in my garden. I think it's just such a beauty. It also has a nice sort of like kind of licoricey kind of smell. I do believe Agastache is used in some things. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that you can't really go wrong with. I think it's an absolute beauty, and I hope you do too. So those are 10 or maybe slightly more perennials that I think every garden should absolutely have. Like I said, what works for me might not necessarily work for you, but I'm just sharing my personal opinion and recommendations on some of my favorites. Do let me know down in the comment section what perennials you think every garden should have. I would love to hear. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. We'd love to have you on the channel.